Biggest drug seizures of all time. Daily crimes occur around the world. Even after large police investigations, most of these go undiscovered. These crimes range from stealing to sexual assaults to murder. Unless the person involved is prominent or the crime poses a national or worldwide threat, many of these crimes are not covered by the media. Drug-related crimes are common worldwide. These include drug possession, supply, production, and international smuggling. Most countries regard drug-related offenses seriously. Drugs cause illness, addiction, fatalities, and crimes. Police examine the primary sources of narcotics and seize them before they reach the public. Police have seized a massive quantity of drugs with astronomical street values in several locations worldwide. They stay silent about their discoveries and procedures. Some huge seizures have made headlines. What are the biggest drug seizures in world history? Curious to know more? Well, stay tuned for that. Let's get into the video. In 2018, Canadians were caught smuggling 95 kilograms of cocaine worth $21 million. In 2018, Canadians smuggled 95 kilograms of cocaine worth $21 million. Melina Roberge and Andre Tamine smuggled $21 million in cocaine from Britain to Australia. They helped Isabelle Legace, the cocaine babe. They were nabbed in Australia with their cash stashed under their towels. Australian Border Force found it in their cabin. Before the drug seizure, the couple uploaded Instagram images from their cruise. Photos showed them posing in bikinis and enjoying the weather. After the porn star's 4.5-year prison sentence, they amended their plea to guilty. This happened in 2018. In 2010, the Transborder Railway transported 30 tons of marijuana for a total of $21.2 million. Marijuana traffickers sought to cross the Mexico-California border in 2010. They built an underground railroad beneath the border. Inspired by history, police tracked a suspicious truck to a warehouse in Tijuana. They discovered a recently excavated underground corridor. The contents of the entrance surprised them. They discovered an 1,800-foot light rail tunnel. It was used to transport marijuana from a small crawl space in California to Mexico. A total of 30 tons of marijuana were seized. It is valued at $21.2 million. 2 days before the seizure, Californians voted against legalizing cannabis. In 2016, the Mexican drug tunnel produced 1.1 tons of marijuana and 2.2 tons of cocaine, bringing in a total of $61 million, estimated. Mexican drug tunnel 2016, 1.1 ton of marijuana and 2.2 tons of cocaine, $61 million, estimated. There are many cases of drugs being smuggled via underground tunnels between Mexico and the US. This is one of the most prevalent drug smuggling methods between the two countries. The 2016 drug hauls from a tunnel between the US and Mexico is another example. The tunnel stretches from Otay Mesa to Tijuana and is over half a mile long. This narcotics haul is estimated to be worth over $61 million. 8.8 tons of cocaine sold in Colombia in 2016, worth $240 million. Pablo Escobar's narcotics activities are well known, but they're not the only ones in Colombia. Drug use is widespread in Colombia, leading to many drug seizures. Colombian officials captured 8.8 tons of cocaine worth $240 million in 2016. The drugs were found in an underground bunker at a banana farm near Turbo, less than 300 miles from Bogota. The 359 bags of cocaine are Colombia's largest ever drug seizure. Police say the cocaine belongs to the truck trafficking usage clan. 3 people were reportedly arrested. In 2014, Saudi Arabia sold 22.6 million amphetamine pills for a total revenue of $267 million. In 2014, 6 persons tried to import 22.6 million amphetamine pills into Saudi Arabia. They hid tablets in plastic and barbed wire. Strange luggage likely drew attention to them. The street value of this much amphetamine is $267 million. Operation Aussie X, 2008, netted $309 million from the sale of 4.4 tons of MDMA. Australia made one of the largest ecstasy seizures ever. In 2008, the Australian Federal Police arrested a Melbourne-based ecstasy seller. The year-long operation arrested drug suppliers at every level. Dock workers, freight carriers, and drug bosses were arrested. The narcotics arrived in Melbourne in 3,000 tomato cans from Italy. Drugs were recovered from a Griffith house. 15 million MDMA pills weighing 4.4 tons and worth $309 million were seized. Disappointed ravers followed the sting. 12 tons of cocaine worth $360 million in Colombia in 2017. In November 2017, Colombia saw one of the world's greatest cocaine seizures as authorities aimed to minimize drug-related crimes. Police confiscated 12 tons of cocaine from 4 banana farms in Antioquia, Colombia. This haul is worth $360 million. There's enough cocaine for 11 million 1-gram hits, worth $660 million. Local forces and foreign intelligence made this seizure. In 2008, 260 tons of hashish were sold in Afghanistan for $376 million. Afghanistan's military trenches and the bunkers contained hashish in 2008. This is the equivalent of 30 double-decker buses worth of hashish. It's worth $376 million. The military chose an unconventional way to remove the drugs rather than wasting man-hours. They called for an airstrike to destroy the trenches and bunkers to eliminate the drugs. The Colombian seizure in 2005 consisted of 14 tons of cocaine for a total of $415 million. In America, political parties argue on TV, but in Colombia, violence is routinely used. Autodefensas Unidas de Colombia, AUC, and Marxist revolutionaries are opposed. The two parties agreed on a drug haul in 2005. One of the world's largest cocaine hauls was unearthed in Colombia's Mira River. Marxists guarded 14 tons of AUC cocaine. The seizure was worth $350 million, or $415 million today. 2007's Panama operation yielded 20 tons of cocaine for a total of $670 million. Instead of eating cocaine-filled balloons or condoms, Panamanian smugglers hid in plain sight. The cartel loaded containers with cocaine bales. They put them on a freighter's deck. DEA and Coast Guard discovered their operation and seized cocaine from the Panamanian ship Gatun. 20 tons of cocaine worth $670 million were seized. In 2007, US authorities made the greatest maritime cocaine seizure. 2015's biggest haul in the United Kingdom, 3.2 tons of cocaine worth $697 million. In April 2015, the largest narcotics seizure in UK led to the arrest of 2 Turkish men, who later pleaded guilty to trying to smuggle 3.2 tons of cocaine into the country. This haul was worth $697 million. One police representative indicated this was a year's worth of drug seizures. Unusually, narcotics were found. Officers inspecting a boat in Aberdeen Harbour found cocaine on a drill boat. A further investigation ensued. They told the French that the Tanzania-registered Hamal was off the UK's west coast and believed it was carrying a lot of cocaine. When the boat was found and searched, the drugs were found. 2.8 tons of amphetamines and MDMA worth $1.5 billion were sold in Australia in 2014. MDMA and amphetamines are popular among partygoers and ravers in Australia. Australian police are coming down hard to collect these potentially dangerous medicines before they reach the streets. The narcotics were seized on November 14, 2014. 2.8 tons of MDMA and methamphetamine tablets. These were shipped from Hamburg, Germany, to Australia, hidden in furniture containers. The tablets were worth $1.5 billion. The Pablo Escobar seizures in 1984 amounted to $2.2 billion and 14 tons of cocaine. Pablo Escobar was a drug lord. At his criminal peak, he made millions a day. He made so much money by selling half his cocaine to the US, his large company required many trucks to supply narcotics demand. He smuggled drugs using boats, planes, helicopters, and submarines. Many medications were created in a Tranquilandia jungle lab. This lab had an airfield and troops. It had off-grid electricity, water, and worker dorms. The DEA utilized tracking devices on his raw materials to seek down and confiscate his drugs. DEA seized 14 tons of cocaine in 1984. This is worth $2.2 billion now. Pablo Escobar's yearly revenue was estimated at $25 billion at the time. The value of Afghanistan's 92 tons of opium and poppy seeds in 2009 is incalculable. The trafficking of opium is one of the primary sources of revenue for the Taliban. Opium is produced in Afghanistan at a rate that is 90% of the global total. In 2009, Afghan security forces were able to seize 92 tons of opium and poppy seeds. Given the quantity of this collection, it is difficult to determine how much the drugs were worth. It was a win for the Afghan military in both the war on drugs and the war on terrorism. This is Afghanistan's most significant drug bust to date. Some people believe that the seizure was quite expensive. The poorly planned and executed operation resulted in the loss of 60 lives. The cache of cocaine was wiped out by airstrikes. This is it, everyone. Let us know in the comments what you think. Thank you for watching the video. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done that. Also, put on the notifications because the next video is going to be a great one.